Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the NBA slate for tonight. We have 5 games tonight starting at 7 o'clock, so a nice, pretty, not too crazy of a slate. We are still waiting on some important pieces of news. We'll get to that. But apologies for a later video. I had some things to do in the morning, so couldn't get one out. But I'm back here right now to make this video, and then I'll also be able to talk about prize picks because they have their board fresh, ready, and set to go for tonight's action. So let's get into it. If you enjoy the videos, appreciate it if the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Looking at just some of the props I'm looking at right now. Jeremy Grant is sitting at just 4 rebounds right now on prize picks. I think that is really just too good of a spot to pass up on. For a guy that plays huge minutes in any sort of close game. They're at home here. Milwaukee's missing a couple starters. There's still a chance it could get blown out, but we're still seeing Jeremy Grant. Last game, he was just in foul trouble against the Nets. He picked up 3 quick fouls within 4 minutes of the third, so he got up to 4 fouls. Then he had to check out. Then he checked in the fourth. Then he got his 5th foul, and the game was already over by that point. So he didn't play like the last 6 or 7 minutes of that game. But normally getting 35, 36 minutes out of Jeremy Grant. He's gotten over 4 rebounds in every single game that he's played this year. He got 4 exactly when he only played 27 due to foul trouble. This is just an absolute smash spot in terms of prize picks, just getting that over on that rebounding prop. Worst case, I would say he gets 4, and you kind of just, it's a push in that case. Dwight Powell, I like him over 8.5 points. The Dallas Mavericks are dealing with injuries in the front court. No Kristaps, no Maxey, so you'll see Dwight Powell have to play a lot of minutes, especially against a Miami front court with Bam playing big minutes there. So I would expect him to play 30 plus. He played 33 when Maxey left the game last time out. He played 7 minutes. So maybe 33 to 35 out of Dwight Powell. Hopefully he's not in foul trouble. He can be productive. If he is given some minutes, Luka's, I like the rebounding upside on him as well, but sometimes Luka will just take all the rebounds. So I think the points might be a little bit safer. You can get some putbacks there. Luka can maybe throw him a couple lobs. And then last one is Kevin Porter Jr., 26 on the projected fantasy score. I'll take the over on that. Another matchup with the Lakers. They just played them. It's home and home, I guess. They just played the Lakers last time out. But the Rockets are dealing with some injuries tonight. Tate is questionable as well as Tice. If those guys are out, maybe you'll see the starters play a couple extra minutes. Kevin Porter's already been playing pretty big minutes in close games. But he still takes a ton of shots, has such high usage rate. And maybe he takes a couple extra shots if there's no Tate out there. I think it benefits some of the other Rockets for DFS, but in terms of fantasy or in terms of prize picks, I'll take the over 26 on Kevin Porter Jr. against the Lakers. So I'll probably do like the 2 out of 3. I feel good that at least 2 out of these 3 will hit, so if you wanted to do the flex play instead of going with all 3. So there's a couple of other good props here that you can spend some time and look at. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below. But now let's get into the DraftKings picks. So I don't want to waste too much time here. I'm going to just tell you guys the news that we're waiting on and the stuff that we know already. So we're waiting on the Pelicans news. Devontae Graham is questionable as well as Brandon Ingram. If those guys are both out, then you're going to be wanting to play Josh Hart, Valanciunas, Nickeil Alexander-Walker would be like the 3 core pieces you want to try to get to on the Pelicans side. DeAndre Ayton is questionable for the Suns. If he misses, then JaVale McGee would most likely jump into the starting lineup. You probably wouldn't play huge minutes, but if you get like low 20s, mid 20s out of JaVale McGee, $3,400 against like Valanciunas, a center that plays big, and they're going to have to play big. So you'll see him play extra, maybe Jalen Smith, although they declined his rookie option, so I don't know if they definitely don't see him in part of their future, but maybe he'll get a couple extra minutes. The Kaminsky might see some run as well. So those are the late, like the 10 o'clock games. So hope we might not get that news by 7. And then on the Houston side, Tice is questionable. That would benefit Sengun a bunch. It would also benefit Christian Wood if they decide to start KJ Martin at power forward. And then Christian Wood would slide down to center, and he would get more rebounding opportunities. So I think Christian Wood looks good today. KJ Martin, I think, looks great if there's no Tate. There's a chance he could start, and we've seen him be productive last year at the end of the season. He is pretty good. I thought they would use it more this year, but they haven't been. Now, Eric Gordon looks fine at 49. You could also see some extra minutes if they're down a couple of other bodies. And then I still like Kevin Porter more than Jalen Green. Those are like the main pieces we're waiting on. Obviously, we could get something that could pop up like yesterday with Tobias being ruled out at 6:30. Point guard plays today. At the top end, you have Luka. He's 11-1. It's a tough spot. Miami's defense has been the best in the NBA this year. Luka can still go off at any given time, but this is still a tough spot. I know they're missing Porzingis, but it doesn't really make that much of an impact on Luka's if you look at the numbers. Maybe he gets extra ownership because of that, but personally, I'm not going to force Luka into my lineup because he's without Porzingis, and it's a 5-game slate. Westbrook is 99. I just don't play any of the Lakers studs usually when they're all healthy, and almost 10K for Westbrook, 10-2 for LeBron, 9-7 for Davis. They're kind of just priced all up, so you're going to need 60 out of Westbrook to pay off that salary. Donovan Mitchell is $8,800. Good spot against the Kings, but also like Donovan Mitchell, I think he can get you like 40, 45, close to 50. Don't know how often he'll hit 60 when they're all healthy. So the Jazz are kind of tough. The guards, at least. I like Gobert today in the center matchup. De'Aaron Fox has been really bad so far this year. Hasn't been able to get anything going. Still playing big minutes, 39, 37, 37. 86 is a tough price tag. He's going to be a good tournament option, though, on a 5-game slate because nobody's going to really want to go there. So I would still say Fox looks like a good play for tournaments. And then Devin Booker, Chris Paul, they're fine on a 5-game slate, but they're not priorities for me. Like, unless DeAndre Ayton is out, then maybe they look a little bit better in terms of a little bit more usage for them. Kyle Lowry is 71. Unless Bam is out, I don't really see going there. Then you have Heroes, $6,900. A little bit tough to get to. Definitely a little bit tough to get to. He's probably going to be a good option if there's like no Lowry. If they decide to hold Lowry out on a day or two, then a Hero would look good, even though 7K is pushing it a little bit. Nikhil Alexander Walker looks great. If there's no Devontae Graham, he would take on a lot of the ball handling duties, especially if there's no Ingram as well. I like Kevin Porter Jr. 6K range. He's like the only one that I'm really looking at. I'm not looking at Halliburton too much. Conley, don't really like to get to him either. And then don't want to play Brunson really or Clarkson. Or maybe Brunson looks a little bit better today, but the matchup is so tough that I'm not looking to force myself into getting a lot of Mavericks, except for maybe you can make a case for like Dwight Powell. And then at the bottom, I like George Hill. He's only $3,800. The Bucks are still without Middleton. They're without Drew Holiday. George Hill has played over 30 minutes the last 3 games, which is a good sign, at least for a guy that's not that productive on a point-per-minute basis. But he's only $3,800. If you give him 30 minutes, he's most likely going to get you at least north of 20 fantasy points, which he has done now in 5 straight games. And all those games that he's played good minutes here. Taking at least 9-10 shots the last couple, which is good to see. He's been getting you rebounds, assists, chipping in all areas. So on the Bucks side, just focus on them. Looking to get to at least a couple bucks with how short they are. Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, they're fine plays, but I might take the savings on, kind of like the savings on Hill. I feel like they both could end up with like similar outcomes in fantasy. At shooting guard, talked about some of the guys at the top here. I don't mind going cheap at this position as well. And the guy that I'm going right back to is Cade Cunningham. He only played 19 minutes in his debut. The coach said 20 to 25. We got one less minute than what he said, 20 minutes. But Cunningham still was fine out there. I mean, he was good in terms of getting a lot of usage. 7 rebounds, 2 assists. He played good defensively, but just couldn't buy a basket. A little bit rusty, maybe a little bit of nerves. Hopefully calms down a little bit in his second game. And I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe upgrade his 19 minutes to like 23 to 25. Price tag hasn't moved on him at all. And if he even hit like a couple more shots, he would have been looking at like 20 fantasy points, which would have been great. Or at least salvageable at $3,600. So I'll go right back to Cade Cunningham on a 5-game slate. There's a chance that he plays really well. Maybe they just give him like 25 minutes, but we'll see. Small forward, you have Luka at 11-1. You have Jimmy Butler. If there's no Bam, looks great at that price tag. Keep an eye on Brandon Ingram. If he's out, then you want to look to like Josh Hart at $4,900. Buddy Hield, maybe one guy on the... I mean, him and Holmes are like 2 people that you could look to on the Kings side, even though the matchup is tough because Buddy Hield can light it up from 3, and he's at a great price tag at $5,800. And then Jordan Nwora is 45, Connaughton is 46. They're okay. They're like okay price tags. I don't really see myself going there. I probably like George Hill. I like both. I like Thanasis at Kumpo is only $3,100. We'll get to him instead of paying like mid 4K for Connaughton or Nwora. Moving on to power forward, you have Giannis at the top end. He's 11-6. Going to be going right back to Giannis here. He gives you 80-point upside without Holiday and Middleton. Tough spots for him the last couple, well, at least the last game against the Jazz. And then they've been putting Jakob Poeltl on Giannis the 2 games that they played, and Jakob Poeltl's done a great job at limiting Giannis and getting him into some foul trouble. He has 9 fouls when he's been guarded by Jakob Poeltl in those 2 games. But I'll gladly pay 11.6 for Giannis on a 5-game slate. Harrison Barnes is 74. He's been really productive for the Kings, but I just don't see myself going there against the Jazz. And then, Carmelo's been shooting the ball lights out this year. He's 53. He's kind of priced where he should be. Maybe a little bit overpriced with them all being healthy, but he's been like one of their best players, which is crazy. And then at the bottom, you have Bobby Portis, who they've been holding him to some on a minutes limit. Maybe he cracks 20 to 23. I don't see him playing more than 25 today. Going over, and then KJ Martin would be a great value play. If there's no Tate and he happens to start, he would be one of my favorites at 34. Moving on to center, I kind of like the 8K range. You have Rudy Gobert, Christian Wood, Valanciunas, all in the 8K range, all with monster ceilings. Rudy Gobert's second matchup against the Kings this year, he put up 20 rebounds, 17 points, almost 50 fantasy points in the first meeting. He's pretty safe in this matchup. I don't really see him going under 40. He's going to get a double-double with ease, going to get some block shots with how much some of these Kings guards like to drive into the paint. But right now I'm going Valanciunas. If there's no DeAndre Ayton, then that looks even better. I mean, it still looks fine for Valanciunas. Ayton's still not the best defender. He's definitely improved from his first couple, or his rookie year at least. But I still think Valanciunas, just with the usage rate that he gets and just how many minutes he's playing in close games, that he can be really productive. Against the Knicks, they only played him 33, but it was a back-to-back, so that could be something to do with it. But normally he got up to 39, 36, 36, even with some foul trouble in some of these games here. So Valanciunas, really, really safe, especially if there's no Brandon Ingram. He's just going to have to carry the load on offense. Then I could see myself double stacking at center and going with like Christian Wood at the utility. Christian Wood or Rudy Gobert, they're both in the mix here. Christian Wood might be a little bit less owned. If they're without Tice, I think it benefits Wood. He'll probably slide over to center, maybe get a couple of extra minutes, but he might have a better chance of getting some more rebounds. He's done a good job with the boards, 11.5 on the season. Second meeting with the Lakers, they were held to just 85 points. They're not the best offense, but normally, like teams nowadays, if you don't crack 100, it's going to be pretty surprising. Teams are averaging, you're going to be surprised if they're held to under 92 games in a row, even though it is against the Lakers, but Lakers defense hasn't been the best. Houston should want to get out there and run today. So right now I like Christian Wood. Maybe I'll change it to Rudy Gobert depending on what news we get or if I don't have the salary. And last but not least, just give me Giannis' brother here, Thanasis Kumpo. He's $3,100. He started last game again, and they got him up to 32 minutes. Now, I don't think that's going to happen going forward. He was just playing pretty well, even though he only shot a 5 of 15, but he was active there. He's always active on the boards. He's active with some of the defense stats, with the steals there. I just like his price tag more than like Connaughton and Grayson Allen at this point. Getting him at just $3,100, chance that he could play 30-plus minutes, it could drop 10x. So even though I'm expecting probably like 25 to 28 minutes, best case, still think you can drop like mid-20s in fantasy points at that price tag and be the best value play on the slate. So that's it for the DraftKings, loading up on a couple of these bucks here and then going with a probably double center approach. So that's it for DraftKings. Let's touch on FanDuel. All right, let's get into FanDuel here. Point guard, you're going to see one guy that's priced a little bit too cheap. Luka is $10,400. He's pretty easy to get to on FanDuel. He's $700 cheaper than he is on DraftKings. FanDuel has some of these price tags a little bit softer. Like Westbrook is only 92 compared to 99. De'Aaron Fox is down to just 77. He's been awful so far this year, but anytime a price tag gets that cheap for one of these guys that still has a ton of upside, he still gives you 50-point upside, and he's still playing huge minutes. It's not like Fox has been playing so badly that the coach is limiting him to just 30 minutes. We're seeing him get to 36 to 39 minutes in close games. And Kevin Porter looks still like a fine play at 59. Lowry's down to 59. Finally had a good game without Bam there. So maybe you can go back to Lowry if you wanted to. But I would probably wait and see if Bam is playing or not. But 59 is still a good price tag either way. Cade Cunningham is 5K, so I'm not interested at that price tag. Brunson is only 46. That looks pretty good on a day where they're missing a couple of their rotation pieces. So you could continue to get some good run. So 46 is a little bit different than 55 on DraftKings. But I'll probably end up with De'Aaron Fox at 77. Just take the upside that he gives you, even though he's been struggling this year. Well, it's only been like it's only been like less than 10 games, so it's nothing to be crazy about. Still a ton of time left on the year. Luka, you can play my shooting guard now as well. Go a little bit cheaper, I think, at the position. I like Tyler Hero's price tag at 64 compared to 69 on DraftKings. Buddy Hield at 66. He looks better on DraftKings. NAW would look great. Alexander Walker. If there's no Devontae Graham or no Ingram or both, he will look like a plug and play. And then at the bottom, sub 5K, you have like Grayson Allen at 49, Duncan Robinson 44, Brunson at 46, kind of like Eric Gordon at 42. He's a decent price tag on DraftKings, but 42 on FanDuel for a guy that plays like their six-man role off the bench. He could see some extra minutes, and he's been getting almost starter-level minutes. A little bit less than starter level, but he got up to 30 against the Lakers last time out. And if they're missing Tate, they could start Gordon, so you could see more minutes tonight anyways. But 42 right now is a pretty good price tag for a guy that can fill it up if he gets hot shooting the basketball, and the price tag is definitely favorable enough. And even if he doesn't have a great game, like he could still get you close to 20, which wouldn't kill you at $4,200. Small forward, Giannis is 11.3. He looks great. Butler's 10K. Probably won't get to Butler at that price tag. Keep going down a little bit under 8,000. Barnes and Hield are kind of priced up on FanDuel, so I'm not that interested there. I like Alexander Walker. Carmelo 6K. Not that interested. I like Kevin Porter Jr. at $5,900. Just always a good play at that price tag. He gives a huge tournament winning upside, and he's still popular, but he's probably going to be popular on a 5-game slate. But there's still going to be people that don't want to play him just because they played him a lot and he hasn't really come through a lot this year. But he hasn't killed you every single night. He's had a couple of decent games there, like 29 is not going to kill you, 31, 47. Probably won you a lot of money if you played him in that game against OKC. But the games that he has killed you was 12, 15, and 13. Against the Jazz, he just played 18 minutes, so they can kind of cross that one out. Normally, he's getting you 30-plus minutes. So if you give him 30-plus minutes, he's only not come through one time out of 4 times. So I'll take my shots with Kevin Porter Jr. at a very cheap price tag. And then you could also make a case for like Tim Hardaway, just because they're so thin on bodies. Well, not super thin, but because they have such a deep bench. But Tim Hardaway could get you close to 30, if not a little bit more. The matchup is just a little bit tough for me to fully commit to Tim Hardaway. Moving on to power forward, get to Giannis here. You can play him at either position, but usually I prefer to get him at power forward. But on this one, you could play him at small forward because power forward has Christian Wood here at 79. That's going to be a great play. You have Jeremy Grant at 74. I'm not that interested in Holmes either. Not interested in Kelly Olynyk or a Carmelo at those price tags. Dwight Powell is almost 5K, so that's going to be a little bit tough to get to. We'll see what Thanasis is. I didn't even look at his price tag. He's 42. You could plug him in as well at small forward. Let's look at the center pricing. You have Valanciunas is 86. So that's fine. It's not that bad. He has given you 50-point upside multiple times this year. He plays huge minutes. Gobert is 82 and Christian Wood is 79. So I'll probably end up getting to, maybe I'll put Giannis in at small forward here. Put Giannis in at small forward. I'll just plug in Kevin Porter with him. I might not have to get to Eric Gordon if we get some more news on the slate, because I'll be able to get to Giannis at small forward, and then at power forward, you can plug in Christian Wood here, and then I can go with like Valanciunas at center or go with Gobert at center. Probably want to get to at least 2 out of the 3 of Gobert, Christian Wood, and Valanciunas on FanDuel. Ayton is priced up, Holmes is priced up, so I'm not that interested, and I'm not looking at the bottom at all, really. So those are the 5 pieces: Fox, Giannis, Kevin Porter, Christian Wood, Valanciunas. Gives you huge upside, especially Christian Wood. Only 79, that's way too cheap. So that's it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Best of luck tonight, and I'll see you all tomorrow.